Welcome back! So, in the last video, we just did the chords, the melody for like the basic for our piano sample. But it sounds quite, quite standard. So, let's just add some velocity randomness to it. You can either do this by going to the clip and using the velocity range settings here and, boosting it up or down. But I like to use the velocity tool because it adds randomness above and below your actual velocity and not just below or up if you use this parameter. Anyway. You're always going to have some kind of randomness when you're playing real life, so this just adds to it. Then kind of carve out those frequencies. Little dip here. Boosting some highs. Just to make it a little bit more present. And because we're going to make lo-fi house, what could be the best thing but the Redux tool? So Redux is a bit crusher they completely redesigned in Ableton 11. It used to be quite, let's say, limited. And I was always using, I can just show you, Decimor 2, which is a cool bit crusher by D16 Group, but I feel like those Ableton guys kind of had a look on the Decimor 2 because I have all those parameters I wanted, so I'm always using the Redux tool because it's quite user-friendly. And the way I do it is I just reduce stuff, like reduce it to 12 bits. You can already hear the crunch at the top. And more shape. And the jitter button is really cool. It's kind of random noise that you can add, and it's, you can really crank it up and destroy a signal with it, but if you just mix it in slightly, it's really, really nice. This is like 100%. But just a pinch. Almost sounds like you would sample it from a vinyl. But we'll get there. If you want to make your samples and your sounds really quite lo-fi-ish, you need to have some kind of pitch modulation. Something that slightly shifts your pitch, because when you think about using a vinyl and playing it, the motor of your vinyl player is never 100% steady, and also your vinyl is not 100% flat, but it's had some waves, and therefore it gets played faster and slower by the needle. And this causes, because if you play something on the slower tempo or on the faster tempo, it kind of brings down the pitch or brings up the pitch, and we want to emulate that. And again, Ableton did a fantastic job by introducing the chorus, which has the classic chorus mode, the ensemble mode, and the vibrato mode. And vibrato is just what we were looking for, because if you just bring it down, because it's too heavy on the standard settings. Sounds freaking drunk, man. So let's just bring it down. And add some magic warmth. Already sounds like something. Why not add a auto filter to it? And the way I use auto filter is quite different from the actual auto filter, because I am using like my own little rack I did. And this is nothing special. You can do this by yourself, or if you're listening to this course, you already have the project and you will find this auto filter plugin right there. So basically, those are two auto filters. One is a high pass, which cuts out all the low frequencies, and one is a low pass, which cuts out all the high frequencies. And the way I'm using it is just because sometimes I like to filter it to the middle, and I was always in the need of using two auto filters automating both. And this way you just have like the basic settings you need. You have the resonance of both, you have the slope like 12 dB per octave or 24 dB per octave, both available, and it's just pretty handy to use in my opinion. So let's just reduce it because we want to make lo-fi house, and lo-fi house usually has no real high frequencies. Okay, and now let's start the magic, because what we are doing now is just freeze this track, create a new audio track, drag and drop, holding Alt. You see this little plus sign, because if we hold it like this, let it fall, you still have your MIDI notes, which is quite handy. So what we have now is like the audio is not only more friendly to your CPU, but it gives you tons and tons of options. And the way I like to use this is to treat this now as I would use any sample. So let's just close your eyes and think about, okay, this is a YouTube sample now, and you can't redo it. You need to get a new vibe out of it because you sampled it from YouTube and you don't want to reuse it again. So let's start by resampling it. And with the way we do it was we just put it down like 5 semitones, and it already has a mood, man. And the beautiful thing about audio is now you can just, you know, click Command E and you can just slice things like madness. But we don't want to do that now. Let's just see what we can do. Maybe reverse it. That's another cool trick. You can reverse your stuff. Oh, and now it leads beautiful into the next section. If you hear this little click, that's because the fades, you know, the phase is not at 0. If you see this is the reason why audio clicks sometimes, because it's not at the right phase. And the way you do it, put on mini fades, and that way it's zeroing here and goes back up. Sometimes you need the fade to be a little bit longer. So this is our new phrase. And now we can maybe try something different. What about this? Oh, copy it. Now we need to stretch the timing a little bit. Put on the metronome. And maybe go like this. If you're using loop mode on those clips, and this is now really trial and error for you and for me. If you're using loop mode here, instead of shortening your clips, you can just easily, you know, as you can see here, just easily scan through your whole file. You know, I like this. It's just a matter of different volumes. But so let's just reduce the gain here to, you know, make it more even. So when we are letting use a compressor, it doesn't have to work that hard. So. And now just copy the phrase and we do the exact same thing as we did here. We have the first 4 bars ready. And now maybe play around with something different. Do we have something different for this? No, something higher. I think this is cool, but why not extend the time here and reverse? And now we can just end the phrase. Sounds good to me. The only thing I have with this now is because we pitched it down by 5 semitones, all those frequencies kinda got into the low mid area, which tends to be really, really high for me. I have really much low mid frequencies. So let's just tame them a bit. Make it more lo-fi using the Redux. And because we're using all those fades and those chops and reverses and all that kind of stuff, it really gets into the vibe of you pushing buttons and sampling like old records. Reducing the dry and wet. We just want the pinch of reduction. How about reverb and delay? Sounds good to me. For all you Ableton users, or every producer should know this tool, OTT, over the top compression. And over the top compression is just an expander pushing everything up and then the compressor pushing everything down, so it kind of squashes the whole signal. Pretty unique setting. They even rebuilt this with X-Ray Records rebuilt this as a free tool just because it sounds so crazy. Listen to it on full amount, like 100% dry and wet. Damn! Just gives everything, squeezes everything. So this is a cool effect, but you want to just mix it in. Boring? Really? And some glue compression just to catch some peaks. Then let's add some distortion to it. And the way I'm using it is using a saturator, and I built this little rack here. This is like a general advice, just little off topic, but I'm using a plugins folder here with all plugins sorted into instruments, media effects, the one-ups I created, we come to that later, drum racks and effects. And those effects are sorted by delay, bit crushing, EQ, dynamics, whatever. And this way you can easily just create your own racks and, you know, just save them. And it's much easier for you to use your own devices and create your own workflow that way instead of just using the same stuff here. And the way I'm using saturators, we don't need all those knobs. This one macro pushes the drive and it reduces the output just because we want to maintain the gain staging. And if you haven't heard of gain staging, this is like we'll come across this term quite often, but gain staging is just if you have your signal at a certain loudness and it goes through like whatever plug-in you have it, you want to have it at the same loudness coming out of it when it comes in. Just for you, one way to save your headroom, and the other way because you want to compare it, because louder sounds are always perceived better, and if you put on a distortion tool and it just makes everything loud and fat and you will think, oh man, this is really good, and then you're wondering why your mix sounds, bad. And this way we're using this tool here, it's just kind of, you can crank the drive up, but the output gets reduced as well, and you have like an easy gain staging tool. I think that could be even more delay. Still sounds a little bit low, so why not reduce everything? So we started this lesson with this. And now we are here. Sounds really cool. Already has a vibe. Reducing the saturation a little bit. Pushing the highs is cool. Okay, cool. So in this lesson, we just created our very own cool, choppy, lo-fi sample. In the next section, we're going to have a look on the bass. See you then.